Welcome to the introduction of ModbusClient Pro. We start our application ModbusClient Pro, and for the purpose of this demonstration I will be using Modbus Server Pro to act as our Modbus server, but of course the client works with any Modbus server that is accessible on the network. So what are the features that we have got in ModbusClient Pro? Well, firstly, we've got a request, a typical Modbus request. That request is issued to a particular Modbus server, and all those requests to that server can be processed under a cycle. So that's a fairly new concept compared to any of the other Modbus client products that we've had before. Let's just have a quick look at this. We start off by looking at the server. When we click on the server, we can see the server details. We can give the server a name, and here's where we define the IP address. I've got this running on the local interface. The port number we've got is 1502, so change that to 1502. And that's our server definition done. We can do a quick connection test with this button here. Click the button, yes, it connects. We can see the connection over here. Field for the IP address goes green, so we know we're connected. We can disconnect again, and there we go. That's the server definition done. Then we're looking at a request. Now we've got a lot of Modbus functions available to us. Let's just go for the most popular one, the reader holding register, and we're going to read address number 0, and I'm going to read 1 register. Now with that request now, and bear in mind there's an offset in the addresses, that address here in the server is actually offset by 1, so that's 1 based and that index is 0 based. So we can execute that request just as a little test, and here we go. We can see that has extracted the value from that register and brought it over here. If we do that again, you can see those indicators flashing up when the request is taking place, and so does the indicator here as well. And then we've got the ability to define a cycle and run this cyclically. So if we go to 3000 milliseconds, that's a 3-second cycle. So if we now click, or let's make it a 2-second cycle, if we now click the start button, we can see that cycling every 2 seconds. There's a request that goes across. One of the things I'll draw your attention to at this point in time, you have a look at the port numbers, you can see the connection to the server is established. This is connected and then disconnected again for every request. We can avoid that, and we can keep the connection up, and I'll just stop that again and go into server. There is a new field here which is called maintain connection, and we can say let's maintain our connection for 3000 milliseconds. So after every request for 3 seconds the connection will be held up before it disappears. So now if I run the cycle again, I can see we're staying connected, and because the connection is maintained, we are now getting request after request, and it now utilizes the same connection. So there's the option of getting a new connection every time, or maintaining the same connection. And Modbus Server Pro, of course, also allows for multiple requests. So firstly, here we've got a request, and we can go and we can add another request to it here, request 2, and we'll make that another holding register. We're going to request address 4, which translates to 5 over here, 1 register, and press the button, and now we're requesting those numbers. Let's add a third one in, a third request, request 3. And we're going to use for request 3, we're going to make this another holding register, request for this address here, and 1 length. There we go. Now, I haven't got multiple servers here to test, but you can have multiple servers, of course. To do that, you just add a server. So this button here allows you to add a server. This button here allows you to add another request. So let's just add another server. So here we've now got server 4 added, I'll point that to the same server as the other one, except I'm not going to do the maintain connection, so we can actually see a difference between the two. And you could see that request 3 is now assigned to that server because of at which point in time I clicked it. And to take a request and assign it to another server, you simply drag it. So take the request, drag it here, and now that request is assigned to this second server, the server 4. Let's click the start button, and here we can see the requests happening. That's all going very well. We can see the one that's maintaining the connection is here. The other two requests create a connection each, which we can see appearing in here. Let's stop that again and now add another cycle. So we can add an additional cycle. It's automatically renamed, but we can name that to whatever we like. Let's make that cycle 5 seconds, or make him 3 seconds. Make that cycle 3 seconds. So we've now got a cycle of 3 seconds. But as you can see graphically here, our servers, there's nothing assigned to that cycle yet. Now, to get a server to run of this cycle rather than that cycle here, cycle 1 rather than cycle 0, you just drag the server. And you drag the server across to the cycle, and here we go. Now that's assigned to this cycle. Now we can press the start button, and the start button now means both cycles are running, and you can now see the difference in time. That one here running every 2 seconds, that one here running every 3 seconds. That server maintaining the connection, and that server doesn't maintain the connection. So it's quite a flexible system we've now got, and we can add a lot more information, of course, a lot more requests. Let's just have an example here. I'll highlight this and I use the add request button. So we've now got another request added. Now let's add a request to get a holding register and make it a holding register that doesn't exist. So that holding register 9, we haven't actually got that. Now let's give that a try, and we get the reply from the server to say that this is an illegal data address. So we see that information in here. That's a very good method. Now we can also, when we look at the errors that we can simulate on the server, we can simulate an illegal function. So now the server reply to each request is illegal function exception code, or some of the other errors that this particular server here allows us to simulate. So this is a very flexible system now. We can add a number of cycles, we can add more servers, we can add requests, we can change requests from one server to another simply by dragging them around here. You can change the order the requests are made in by just simply changing the order here. The order appear to be made at the same time, but they are actually sequential requests. So there we go. That's a bit of an overview of Modbus Server Pro and what it can do for you, and all the new features that we've got available. Have fun and ensure your Modbus Server Pro and ModbusClient Pro, and keep testing those servers. Bye.